Hello, everyone, and welcome to the newest episode of the Rams House podcast and our very first episode with all four of our hosts. We're really excited about this. We got a whole new setup going on. So I'm joined, Ethan here, joined today by OJ, Will, and Joe in that exact left to right, top down order. How you doing, gentlemen?
What's up, boys? I'm good, man.
Good.
Exciting season right now.
Yeah, baby.
So yeah, Christmas came a little early for the LA Rams. We are officially division leaders. We had some luck involved there. Seahawks have been on an absolute downward trend. Cardinals are playing horribly. The Call of Duty curse is as real as it's ever been. Kyler's he's barely even scored touchdowns in the last 4 weeks since Call of Duty.
Yeah, he's
Bro.
completely different.
Bro,
Yeah.
they had a crazy stat to where, they said the last 3 years, his second half of football is always on a downturn. I wish I had the exact stats.
Yeah,
but
it's good. And then
usually
Call
his
of Duty
second half
just
is always worse.
Call of Duty just happens to come out around that time, which is hysterical.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
he's got to put on that camo grind, you know.
Yeah, I feel that.
He needs the pink camo and the colored tracers and all that stuff. But yeah, so in the 49ers obviously got whooped by us. So we did ourselves a favor there. I think we officially pretty much knocked the 49ers out of the conversation, and it's been narrowed down to the Seahawks and the Rams, but we do have the division lead currently, and our playoff opportunities are completely in our control. If we win out, we are in the playoffs. We are the division champs. So that's a comfortable position to be in, especially considering how tumultuous and difficult this season has been for us so far. So got to be happy, right, guys?
Yeah, very happy.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, how excitable are we for the future? How likely do we think that it is that we actually make some noise in the future? As in playoffs, Super Bowl, etc.
Yeah. I mean, I think you made a good point before we started recording, Ethan, about to me, I'm optimistic, not so much because I'm so high on this team, but more so I'm looking around the rest of the NFC, and I'm not that impressed with what I'm seeing. The Lions, obviously great team, taking nothing away from them, but they're starting to get some significant injuries. The Vikings, we've already beat them. I'm not that high on them. Packers, same thing. I mean, we could have beat them in week, whatever, five or six it was. So yeah, my short answer is because I'm really only scared of Philly. I actually do think, we have the potential to actually make some noise in the playoffs, win a game or two.
Well, let me iterate what I did before the podcast started about why I'm more confident now against the Eagles than I was earlier. Is because I don't see the Eagles as a team that has guys. And what I mean by that is who's going to step up in the biggest moments in the playoffs when it matters most, right? We've seen
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown, but Jalen Hurts has to get him the ball, right?
Well, Saquon, of course.
I would say
Saquon.
Saquon. I would say
Saquon,
Saquon's the only guy.
Okay, but is Saquon hurt? Didn't he leave the game yesterday? Did we get an update on? So there's some issues, right? And the playoffs is a place where coaching matters a lot more than anything, right? And when it comes to coaching, it's really a no contest for me. I'm gonna pick our coaching over the Eagles every time. Even if you want to argue, coordinators and stuff like that, because they have Vic Fangio, who's significantly better than Shula. The head coaching disparity is so big.
Yeah, I mean, although Sirianni has brought them to a Super Bowl too.
Yeah, but Sirianni brought them to a Super Bowl when he had two head coaches under him as coordinators.
Nick Sirianni, I don't think Nick Sirianni is a good coach.
I don't either. I think he got carried by his. If you look at the level of talent the Eagles have had year in and year out for him, the only years that they've done anything is when they had the OC in DC. It was Gannon and who was the other one?
Steichen.
Yeah, Shane Steichen. And
okay.
He had two of the best coordinators in the NFL, and it's not just random musings of a random Rams fan. A lot of people thought that the bulk of the praise and recognition should have gone to the coordinators over Sirianni. Some people even said that Sirianni was holding them back. I read that on Twitter, read stories about it on ESPN. That was a real discussion at the time. And for the most part, I think it's been proven right. And now, are the Eagles this dominant this season? If not for the fact that they've been incredibly healthy and they're easily a top 3 talented team in football. Like, is Sirianni being carried by the fact that everyone else is getting hurt around him? And I mean, look at it. 49ers hurt, Rams hurt, Lions hurt. Like, every team, the Giants hurt. And you know, this division rivals, Cowboys hurt. Commanders have had injuries. Like, every team in the NFC that they've faced has been dealing with injury. Now, they did sweep the AFC North, which was a big deal. That's a good accomplishment. But
Yeah.
we're talking about the NFC, and we're talking about the two teams that met, the Eagles and the Rams, right? And they kind of whooped us, right? And we were really
They
pissed off
whooped our
after.
ass. Yeah.
But first of all, I say even just a few weeks later, we're not the same team that we were at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We're ascending, and the Eagles are kind of shaky in the process, and in the playoffs, we're a totally different monster than them.
Yeah. I mean,
Also-
I don't know if the Eagles
Right.
are shaky, but I think it's more the first point you said is that we are looking like we're improving a lot. So I mean, that would be the hope
Yeah.
for me.
Rob Havenstein didn't play in that game. That's a big deal because Brandon Graham was eating on McClendon. He was eating on a large too.
It's
though.
true. That was a
Rob
huge
Havenstein
problem.
didn't play.
I mean,
Yeah.
speaking of like coaching discrepancies, you mentioned Vic Fangio and Chris Shula. I feel like that's the main reason why we lost the game. Chris
True.
Shula had an awful
Agreed.
game plan.
Agreed.
He had a similar game plan versus the Bills as well. We talked about it last week in the pod, but yeah.
But so
Yeah.
but here's an interesting point, right? Is to add to that is what happens in a second meeting, right? Because that's, even in coaching, that's when a lot of things change as well. In fact, it's one of the ways where you guys remember the 2018 season, Bill Belichick, it wasn't actually his first meeting against the Rams that season. Because if you guys read the stories, Bill
Yeah,
called
the Lions
he
game.
called Matt Patricia and he set up the game plan for the Lions game. So Bill actually got himself a whole nother game of game planning to really feel us out, which we didn't get. He had a major advantage in that sense. And that's not even like an idea that we're coming up with. Like, there were stories about the fact that Bill called Matt Patricia and basically told him, hey, I want you to run this defense and I want to see if it works. And so there's McVay is going to make, you got to believe McVay is going to make some major adjustments on both sides of the ball that are going to be difference makers.
Sure. Yeah.
I agree, bro.
And so I'm hoping in this sense he kind of holds Shula's hand and goes, hey, we got whooped. We need to make some major adjustments. Here's what I saw from their offense, and here's what we might be able to do on defense to counter it. Because even though he's not a defensive guy, whenever you're that smart on either side of the ball, you know what the other team is going to do on the opposite side. Like, to be a great offensive coordinator and offensive mind, you have to know what the defense is going to try to do to shut you down. So he understands those concepts, even if he's not a defensive mastermind or whatever. I'm hopeful that look, Shula needs to be babied. Let's just be real about it, right? Like, he's not proven that he can come up with these game plans and schemes on his own to beat opponents.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the
Absolutely.
biggest concern for me. But yeah, I mean, besides Philly though, and I'm not saying we can't beat Philly, obviously it's the NFL, but
Yeah.
but I'm saying that's the one team where I would really not feel confident about it. But really any other team in the NFC, Packers, Vikings, Commanders, I'd feel good going into that matchup. Buccaneers, I mean, I know we wouldn't match up because we're division winners in the first round,
Sure.
but really anyone else, Lions hurt and we've always played them well. I mean, is that basically how you guys feel? I think it's
Yeah.
kind of open for us.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're better than all those teams. Yeah, pretty much like OJ said, the Buccaneers are a wild card team. I can see them just because they have the receiver talent, they have the running back talent. Baker is a wild card QB. He can have one of those games where he looks like a superstar, and they have a good defense. They got good corners. So that's a kind of a team that you might have to worry about. But other than that, I think we're pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like you mentioned, the Bucks, right? The Commanders, for example, right? Commanders have Jaden Daniels. He's a rookie quarterback. He has 0 playoff experience. Versus a guy like McVay, is pretty much every season of his career as a head coach, he's been in the playoffs. He's won a Super Bowl.
Mhm.
He's been on runs. So honestly, besides, I mean, you could say the Eagles, but I feel like the biggest issue with the Eagles, and I feel like a lot of people have the same sentiment, is Jalen Hurts. I feel like when it matters most, he just looks like an average quarterback. I just don't feel like he has that switch. He has that clutch gene. He has the ability to drive down the field with a 2-minute drill and win you a game. But yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's fair.
agree.
I'll go a
That's
step
fair.
further because I'm the most critical of the team, generally speaking. Me and OJ are probably up there. I think all those teams that are going to the playoffs can beat us, but we can also beat all of them. And
That's exactly how I feel. Yeah.
and
That's a
I
great
don't.
point.
The
Yeah.
Eagles
open.
game doesn't feel as out of reach in the context of the playoffs as it would in the regular, as you might think after the beating we received in the regular season. And it's not just Sean McVay, right? It's also like, who on their defense are you like willing to bet is going to make something happen in the playoffs when it matters most? Like, I'm willing to bet that Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, Jared Verse are capable of making a huge play when it matters most to help us win a game. There's no one on the Eagles defense where I'm like, not they have a great defense, they have a lot of good players. But is there like a dude, right? Because when it mattered most in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl, Aaron Donald made a play to seal the game
Yeah.
because he's
Oh,
him.
And you need those. You need
I-
those. Every in those big games, you need them.
We might be switching hats today, Ethan, because I trust the Eagles defense way more than ours.
No. I'm not talking about their defense is far better than ours, and their Vic Fangio's a far better coach. But like at some point in the playoffs, it seems like it always comes down to a single person making a humongous play when it matters the most. I mean, you watch any playoff game, and if it's not a blowout, a guy's going to make a play when it matters most that'll change the tide of the game. And while the defense of the Eagles has plenty of guys who are capable, like if you put the Rams in the Eagles defensive players together and said, okay, they're all in a pool, bet on the guy that you think is most likely to make a game-changing play. The top 3 players on both teams are all Rams for me.
Okay.
Oh,
I
you
think
know
that
what?
got some guys in the secondary that I would trust more to
Yeah.
make a game-changing play than our guys.
I
They got
guess-
Jalen Carter.
Of course.
Carter up front.
Now, so like they'll have more of the top 10 guys, right? But we'll have, in my opinion, we have the top 3. I trust Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, and Jared Verse because you know what? It goes beyond their athleticism, their ability, their talent. They have some level of dog in them that is just immeasurable. It's a level of like himness. I know that's not a real word, but you understand the concept. It's like those guys make plays when it matters. It's like when everything is being
mentality.
Yeah, they have they have some it factor, championship mentality. I have faith in all 3 of those guys to make an insane play when it matters.
And you know what, Ethan? When you go back and look at these other teams, like if you go look at the Chiefs, every big game, Super Bowl, it was Chris Jones that made the
Chris
play.
Jones making plays every
Right.
dude.
Rams, it was Aaron Donald. If you go back to any other team, it's always that like who won a Super Bowl recently other than us or the Chiefs.
That's pretty much it, bro.
The Chiefs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Chiefs.
Yes, it's been the Chiefs over and over and over.
And like I said, I'm not
You know
saying
what I'm
that.
saying.
I'm not saying the Great White Hope Cooper DeJean isn't going to intercept the ball or get a pick 6 in a playoff game against us. Like he's obviously fully capable of that. I'm just saying, like if I had to bet money, I'll even say like that. We have the top 3 and they have the next 7. Like
that makes sense. I get what you're saying. So I
Hey,
don't
Will.
know. Yeah. What's up?
Quick question. I don't really know. I think it's super close. I probably would edge Argot, but who do you think's better, Kobe or Jalen Carter?
Bro, that's such a good question. I don't even want to answer that,
I
man.
mean,
I'll, that's an awful
Honestly-
question.
Hold on.
It's not even
Why?
close.
Wait.
It's not even close.
I think it's close, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's
I-
close.
I think
No.
it's- I
Okay,
think it's
okay.
close.
Hold on. I'll tell you why it's not close. Because we can look at they came in the same year, right? They're both 2-year players. We can
Yeah.
look at run stops, pressures, sacks, double team rates. Kobe clears Jalen Carter in all of them. It's not even close. In fact, we have some stuff pulled up. You guys want to look
Yeah,
since we're on the
Yeah,
topic?
we might as well look now.
There's a tweet that I
Okay,
sent
yeah,
to-
I got it. You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys notice this guy at the top? His name is Kobe Turner. Like I'm actually gonna have to spend some time looking. Oh, there's Jalen Carter down here. So he's a little bit. No, that's not him. He's down here by Vita Vea. You guys see my mouse cursor?
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's less pressures, less stops. And by the way, rookie year was even worse. And I don't even look right now off the top of my head, but I know Kobe Turner's top 3 in double teams as well. So yeah, we're not even in the same ballpark here, folks. Like
Okay.
honestly, because look, he's at like 23 stops. Because if you look at it, it's 20 stops, 30 stops, 40 stops. Kobe's at like 39. He's at like 23. Like he has almost double the run stops, and he has more pressures. And then I think if we're talking about like I'll pull it up right now because I think it's an interesting conversation. But like Kobe, talking about just actual raw stats in their 2 years, he's sitting at 16 sacks. Now they have him on 27 QB hits. So 16 sacks, 27 QB hits, 17 tackles for loss. Now tackles for loss on this website aren't great, and then missed tackle rate 6.4%. Let's look at Jalen Carter. I think this is Jalen Carter is one of those guys who's hyped to no end, but like, okay, so 10.5 sacks. You're talking about a difference of 6.5 sacks over their 2 years. And then tackles for loss is about the same. QB hits is he's got less. So Kobe clears in all three. And then he has an 11.1%. That's why I pulled this up, because I knew Jalen Carter has a missed tackle problem. 11.1% missed tackle rate in his career so far. As opposed to Kobe, I want to reiterate that because I think it's super important. His missed tackle rate is 6.4. So about half, a little bit more than half, or a little bit less than half, rather. So, yeah, we're talking about he clears and everything, bro. And again, double team rates. Kobe clears him in double team rates. And that's a huge factor because Kobe is playing in front of Roseboom and Reader and other bums, right? Now he's got space and it's getting a little bit better. He plays next to Bobby Brown. Jalen Carter plays next to who? His Georgia teammate who's also dominant in the inside. He plays in front of some pretty good inside linebackers, right? The Eagles have a pretty good set of, like, not to mention the secondary. We're not even going to go there because that's a no competition, right? Like Kobe is doing more.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Jalen Carter
I mean, we have to think about it. We have to think about it
defense.
as well, right? Kobe Turner is not playing his natural position. He's a 5 tech.
Yeah, he's
Or he could
playing
play 3
nose.
tech, but he's playing nose. And on top of that, I saw a stat. I mean, this is for last year. I don't know what the stat is this year, but last year he was at a double team rate of 71%. And on top of that, since he's coming to the league, he has the most pressures off of the double team rates. I mean, this past week, we'll mention it with Kobe. I have specific stats on it, but he had like 4 pressures off of double teams.
Well, here's this too, which I think is it lends to the point that we're talking about. Since the start of last season, no player has generated more pressures against double teams than Kobe Turner. That's, by the way, that's not like among rookies or 2-year players. That's all players in the NFL.
Right.
Bro,
So-
he's dominant, bro.
He's
dominant.
I'm not even trying. You know what's crazy is that we call Braden Fisk kind of baby Aaron Donald because of his style, how similar he is stylistically. But like when you're talking about
Kobe has been better.
when you're talking
A lot
about who's closest to Aaron Donald as far as production, every one of these graphs, Aaron Donald was up here by himself. Now, granted, Aaron Donald was more like up here, right? Like he was off the charts. He was so good. So obviously Kobe's not Aaron Donald level, but when you're talking about a guy who's so far above the other people that he's literally by himself, Aaron Donald was this guy. Now Kobe Turner is this guy. And again, not to the same degree, but they're both living in the same world as far as being alone in the top right of quality. So Jalen's a good player. Jalen's solid. I wouldn't mind him being on the Rams. If he was the nose tackle next to Kobe, we would be the best defensive line in the NFL by a mile. But no, he's no Kobe Turner, bro. Which is crazy because I'm the first person to be here and say I didn't like Kobe Turner before the draft. I didn't like Kobe Turner after the draft. I watched Kobe Turner's college film, and I did not understand what made him so special. I think most of us were in that camp, or all of us were in that camp. Like,
Everybody was.
I felt like everybody they didn't know who he was as well. Like they're like, what pick did we? Was it a 4th round or a
third.
round?
I think it was the third. You know, I'm when I watch film on draft picks and I make predictions and we give these guys ratings and I'm trying to learn about and grow as an evaluator, right? I always try to look and see it's like what did I miss? So Kobe's a great example. I'm trying to figure out what I missed with Kobe. I've watched his college film like 5 times since he's been dominant. I there's still more to learn, but part of me has just realized that there's like intangibles and parts of his personality and who he is as a person that we will never see on film.
Yeah.
Because when you look at what he's done since he became a Ram, that dude followed Aaron Donald around. Like,
That's what I was gonna say.
Like,
AD.
Yeah.
dude, he followed AD around like he wanted it all. I can think of a biblical reference that reminds me of that, but not
Elijah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like
That's funny.
like a cultural reference, but yeah. He wanted every drop of AD's knowledge and talent and work ethic and approach. Like he soaked it up like a sponge, bro.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's not something you can see on film. That's stuff that they find out in interviews. And they saw that Kobe was hungry, bro. And I'm sure there's stuff in film that we missed. We're not perfect. We're not, you know, we're not
100%.
we're not 100% on our evaluations, but that's what I've kind of learned from Kobe is that, man, sometimes also, by the way, CJ Stroud, right? Like, I know he's having a second year kind of stumble, but we can we were being told by the people who do this for a living that he failed on the Wonderlic and he did bad on this test and he did that. Now we found out that a lot of that actually wasn't true, and they had his test scores were reported incorrectly. But there was a lot of red flags about CG Stroud. But again, you couldn't really decipher what he was going to be like, what he was like as a human being, or any of that stuff. Like, you're only getting snippets that the media lets you hear. So I kind of liken those to each other because Kobe is him, bro. Like, we're talking about a guy who's on this isn't even like homerism or hypeism or anything. Kobe's on a Hall of Fame trajectory right now. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
he had a better rookie season than Aaron Donald did, or at least in that sphere. Aaron Donald obviously didn't start like the first 4 games of his rookie season, but that's insane to think about. That, like, Kobe is so much better than people think, and I think it'll be another year or two before the NFL realizes that Kobe's like a top
Yeah.
3 defensive tackle in the NFL.
I think he's just now starting to become a little bit more of a household name, whether it was the Masked Singer thing or, you know, they gave him the interview out in the
Yeah.
primetime game, but it's just starting now. But I agree with everything you just said, 100%.
yeah, I mean, he deserves to get a Pro Bowl nod this year. I mean, forget Pro Bowl nod. I mean, he
All
should be
pro.
All
All
Pro.
pro. He should be an
All
all pro.
pro.
I mean, look,
I trust, and usually the voters, when it comes down to All Pro, they usually get it right, so I trust them in that.
usually,
it's-
not always.
I mean, you're mentioning Ethan, right, about like
Ah,
Kobe as a person, right? And
Yeah.
him being him. And we were mentioning the Eagles and their personalities of them not having the championship DNA. I mean, that goes into having that championship DNA. Him being hungry to learn from the greatest of all time in Aaron Donald. I mean,
Yeah.
if that doesn't speak to itself, I don't know what
I
else
mean,
does.
but like, you're talking about all pro voting. Look, these are the 2 numbers that matter for
yeah,
defensive tackles.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's
only
got to
guy
be him
that-
and K. Hey, look, they're so far ahead of the competition.
only him and Cam Hayward are like.
And if you do
Like-
4, because I think it's 2 starting defensive tackles and then 2 reserves for all pro
in
number
the
2.
NFC, who do you have? Do you have 3?
No,
Can you name 2 guys
Hey
better than
man,
Kobe
hey
in the
man,
NFC?
listen.
heck no.
Hey, listen. Braden Fisk. Braden Fisk has an argument to potentially be all pro as well. Look at where he's
He's
at.
not going to get all pro as a rookie. In
He's
my
not. He's
opinion.
not going to get all pro, but he is in the conversation.
Can we talk
Like, he
about
deser-
real quick? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but look at Bobby Brown's
you're
bum.
good.
Look at his bum.
I have some stuff to say about Bobby Brown later in the pod.
By the way, he's far and away the least double teamed of the 3 guys, right? He's only
Right.
we looked at it before in a couple of podcasts ago. He's one of the least double teamed defensive tackles in football. And look how little stops and pressures he gets. That's pathetic, bro.
yeah, I was going to.
Braden and Kobe don't deserve that.
Bobby Brown, he had, I think, around 50% snaps in this game. I can't remember a single thing that he did. Like,
Did
I
he
don't
play
remember
that
a
much?
stop. I don't remember a stop, a pressure, like a play.
He had
a
it- yeah.
tackle.
You know what's
Like,
crazy?
I don't
is
remember a single play from Bobby.
I remember saying after the game, like, high five for Sean McVay for playing Bobby Brown less. But if he just didn't make, if he just was not noticeable, that's even worse. But I'm
I
actually
checked
pulling it up.
I checked the snap count. He actually played,
44%.
Yeah, so he played around 50%, but in the Bills game he
Right here.
played like 25%. So it's just interesting. So his snap count went down, but then it went back up. But he didn't have any factor in the game.
Well,
though.
we've officially
The
stepped
only
into
reason-
game territory. So let's just go. We're talking about the Rams 49ers recap.
Okay, let's go, baby.
So go ahead, Joe.
Oh no. Speaking on, yeah, I might as well just start right now. So speaking on the game, one thing that stood out to me for this game, I know I said it in the Discord a while ago, and I said it before we recorded, is that earlier in the season, I don't think we win a game like this.
Yeah.
Just because it was super back and forth, our offense wasn't doing anything, and our defense was good. And it's been games where our defense has been good and our offense doesn't do anything and we still lose. But the difference to me in this game was that the offense was able to capitalize in certain moments, even though it was field goals. I still think where it was big third downs. I think it was a 4th down too, maybe. But I know for a fact it was big third downs that we completed pass on. It was a big third down that Stafford hit. I think it was third down that Stafford hit Puka on like a 50-yard bomb, which is super good. It's just Puka is just an amazing player. 97 yards, basically 100 yards in the rain.
Yeah.
Puka, he just crazy. And like I said, I don't think we win a game early in the year. And then something other that was super impressive to me was that going from the Bills game, super high power offense, and then going to a gritted out game, we can win both. We can
Right.
these last 2
Right.
weeks we showed we can be gritty, and we also can be high flying. So
Right.
hopefully,
Right.
I'm still not super convinced that we're going to be super consistent week by week, but I'm starting to
Yeah.
lean that way almost. So I just need to see how we do against the Jets, and I'll probably be all in. But all in all, the game to me it wasn't really that boring to me because I like defense, like you guys like
It's a
defense.
fun game. I thought it was a fun
It
game.
was a fun,
Yeah.
it was a fun game to me because I like the environment we was playing in, and I like seeing the defense stop the run and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my take on it. It was a really good one.
Yeah. Joe, you know how I know you're right that we wouldn't have won a game like this earlier in the season is we literally lost games exactly like this earlier in the season.
Yeah.
So
Exactly, bro. It's
you're
been
so
games exactly like
you're 100% right, and I love your point. I had the same like main takeaway about how we win a shootout and then 4 days later we win on the heels of our defense. But to Kobe
Yeah.
Turner's point, he made this point at the post game. He said, "Imagine if we put it both together." And we were talking about playoffs a second ago. Like to me, that's I know it's simple, but really that's the key is like because I feel like I trust our offense a little bit more than our defense. But to me, like the ceiling of this team, or I guess the floor actually is a better way to put it. Like it's that defense and Chris Shula proving they can be consistent. That was one good week, but it's been up and down all year. And to me, that's the key of this whole team is if they can give us like a baseline, solid level of defensive play with the personnel we have on offense, then we are dangerous.
I'm gonna break it down a little bit because y'all are going crazy, but there was a lot of stuff in that game.
So
There was a lot of stuff in that game. I know it was
too optimistic, or what do you mean by crazy?
too high on the defense. The game plan wasn't that good again.
I'm saying I need to see it more.
Yeah,
though.
yeah. I'm just saying the rain and the stupidity of the 49ers played a huge factor. And
Okay.
I
Fair
mean,
enough.
there was the 49ers dropped a ton of balls, like a ton of balls, and they dropped a lot of balls in key situations. I remember one particularly where Debo dropped a third and like 7, and it was a slant, and it was literally the whole
That's huge.
field was wide open for a touchdown. And it wasn't like Purdy had been thrown off target all night long. This throw was dead on perfect, and it hit both of his hands. It hit his chest, and this dude did not catch it. There was also a run play that I think Baldinger posted about, which was Garendo was cutting into this massive hole, and we know Garendo is insanely fast, and Debo's dumb self was coming on an end around. He came late and he ran into Garendo and tackled his own guy, and it looked like it was going to be a 50 or 60-yard touchdown run. Garendo had like a massive hole in tons of space. They had a lot of just dumb stuff like that. So there was definitely some times where it was like, okay, I'm so glad they're playing horribly and it's the rain. And not that we didn't have that same experience on offense, but just speaking about the defense in general, there was so many times where it was like, okay, if Purdy is able to grip that ball better and he actually makes a good throw, that's a huge play, potentially a touchdown. And if the guy catches that ball, that's a huge play, potentially. Like there was a lot of that. And so, yeah, I want to see it more before I'm giving Shula credit because the defensive players played great. And,
They did. The DBs played well. The DBs played well.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, I saw a lot of speed coverage. Yeah. And I mean, we did hold Garendo to like 3.6 yards per carry. Like I thought it was a good. I mean, the rain stopped in the second half, and I still think our defense
was
bowled,
playing
so.
out of his mind. To be honest, Spates was playing out of his mind.
I would say this. I felt like certain players played well. I mentioned this after the game in the Discord as well. For example, like you said, Spates. I feel like Spates. People would say I think it was against the Saints or the Bills. He had a great game, but I felt like this was his best game against the Niners who are on their heels. Oh, we know how the Niners are. Like at the end of the day, injured or not, they always give us trouble.
Yeah.
Like, we can't take them lightly. It's a divisional matchup. So I feel like he was phenomenal. I feel like he's taken strides in the run game as well. Man, like he completely shut down Garendo.
Yep.
Every time Garendo tried to hit the hole, he would get into the second level. Spates was right there.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
And some of you are gonna want to give Roseman credit, and I'm gonna. He had a good PFF score. He had a lot of tackles. He made some decent stops.
You already know how I feel about PFFs.
Baldinger who does this for a living, by the way, and it's pretty spot on. We rarely disagree with Baldinger. He got on there and was talking about how bad the 49ers offense looked. Talked about Debo dropping balls and running into his own players and tackling his running back. Debo was all like just playing so dumb. And
MVP of the
Yeah.
game.
he was the MVP of the game. And Baldinger made note and said that he noticed all game long the 49ers made a point to never block Christian Roseboom. And
That's not a bad strategy.
they just completely and utterly ignored him because they said to themselves, "Hey, we'll give Christian Roseman a couple stops because we know
Mhm.
that blocking Omar Speights is more important. Double teaming Kobe Turner is more important. Double teaming Braden Fisk is more important. Getting a man on Cam Curl or Cam Kitchens is more important." Like they straight up, and I said that during the game, Joe. You remember I was like, "Dude, nobody's even touching Christian Roseman. He's just running free." And then
Yeah.
Baldinger's like, yeah, he never got blocked all game long. He's like, I watched the film. For some reason, they utterly ignored him. And he made a couple stops, and it was awesome. But, like, that means that other guys are getting more attention and getting taken out for a guy who's obviously less capable. No, I thought Kobe Turner, I thought Omar Speights were the two heroes against Isaac Rendo. They were just maniacs in the run game, bro. Maniacs.
Yeah, and when it comes to like the drops and stuff like that, like Debo did drop an easy one. A lot of guys dropped. Brandon, no, I said Brandon Jennings. Jawan Jennings, he
Mhm.
dropped
He dropped a
he
couple.
dropped one too,
Yep.
and then they also dropped interceptions as well. But I kind of look at it, and I don't know if you guys agree with it. In my opinion, it's week 15, bro. And if you have a team and they're still making mistakes like that, that's not on us. That's on you. You have
Yeah.
to be a better team
Mhm.
because we didn't drop catches offensively.
No, and Stafford was a lot more
We
accurate
didn't
than
drop
Purdy was.
interceptions.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like when it's this late in the season, bro. The other team, of course, luck is always involved. Football is all about luck.
Kurt, yeah,
Period.
of course.
Period. Point blank. It's all
I
about
mean,
luck.
speaking
But when
of,
it's this late in the season, bro, be a better team, be a better coach, and make the plays you need to make. If you don't make it, you're gonna lose the game. To me, it's just that simple.
I mean, speaking of like Stafford and Purdy, I mean, Stafford obviously he had those two, throws that should have been picks in the first half. He
Mhm.
probably had arguably his worst half I've seen as a Ram.
Yeah.
In the second half, though, without the rain, so the rain can't be an excuse. Stafford, he locked it in. I mean,
Mhm.
he had
Mhm.
I think he only incompleted like 2 or 3 passes, and then even then Purdy
Yeah.
was just missing throws after throws. I
Right.
mean, we remember, right? The pick to Darius Williams. I mean, if you look, I looked back at that play. He had 3 guys open on a
Yeah.
curl.
Shout out Kobe
Yeah.
Turner with the pressure, by the way, on that
Kobe
one.
Turner, yeah,
Kobe Turner got in his face. Man.
yeah, Kobe Turner on his face. He just made a stupid decision, and to be honest with you, D-Will, like, I'll be honest with you, if that maybe Kobe Turner or Cam Kitchens, not Kobe Turner. I mean Kobe Durant or Cam Kitchens. I don't feel like any of our other DBs would have made that play. I feel like Akilu might have dropped that. I feel like Lake might have dropped that. That was actually a great catch by D-Will.
Dude,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Ethan said it during the game. That was a receiver catch, bro.
Yeah,
That
it was a
wide
receiver
Yeah,
catch.
Yeah, it was
over
smooth.
the
It was
shoulder
smooth.
catch. I've
Yeah.
transitioned to offensive takeaways because we've been lingering. So let's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
be
yeah.
focused here.
Mhm.
I mean, it was a tale of two halves.
Right.
First, second half. I know the rain played a factor. I mean, look, here's what I'll start with. I thought the O line was dominant all over again. Like just another dominant performance by the O line. Both. I know we didn't have a great running game, but the O line seemed to be opening up a lot of holes. To be honest, I thought I'm not even going to spend time on it. I thought Kyron played poorly, and
Mhm.
that's all I'm going to say about that. But I thought the O line did their job in the run game, and they were great in the pass protection game. I mean, let's take a look. How many times did he even get hit? He got 0 sacks again, 2 weeks in a row. He got hit 5 times, in 27 dropbacks. That's not a bad rate at all. That's he had very little pressure. I mean, none of the stats are going to be gaudy, but look, O-line did a great job, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
we've mentioned this like mentioned this last week as well, right? Like since the O line has been healthy, it's just been phenomenal. I mean, one guy. I mean, we'll bring it up in the stock ups on offense, but one guy I want to bring up that should have been All Pro last year, by the way, Kevin Dotson, who is arguably one of the
baby.
more underrated trades
Oh yeah.
in the NFL the last couple of seasons. That
Yeah,
dude
that's true.
I feel like has been the best run blocking guard. Like I saw a clip. And this one, I think it was a linebacker. Like Dotson just went up to the second level and just absolutely flatlined
On the
him.
tunnel screen to Puka,
That-
right?
hey, by the
Thomas
way,
was crazy.
Yeah.
that
Yep,
was
I saw that.
he
Dude's just
pancaked
a
2
monster.
guys in that play. He actually
Yep.
pancaked his D lineman and then went to the second level and then pancaked the linebacker.
Yep.
No,
I mean, that's-
he pancaked
Unreal.
Hufanga. It was a lineman. It was a linebacker. Then it was Hufanga at
Yeah.
the end. He pancaked.
I mean, like I said, like it's just mentioning Kyron Williams having a bad game. I think the reason for that is obviously we've mentioned this before. He just leaves yards on the field. I mean, like we said, when he gets up to the second level, he just turns into this. It's like he just turns into a statue. I don't know
Yeah.
how else to describe it. Like when he gets into that second level, he can't make guys miss. Yeah, maybe he can like fall forward for a couple yards, but besides that, I mean, when you have you're one-on-one with a safety, you expect the running back to at least put on a move. He doesn't even put on a move. He just
Yeah.
runs right into
Right
the
into
safety.
him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say something good about Kyron and then something bad about Kyron.
So you're gonna lie, then you're gonna say something truthful. Good.
No, I'm gonna. Well, okay. So first of all, obviously, I agree with you guys that he didn't have a great game. Oh, okay. First of all, forget the good or bad. 29 carries again, just 3 days after he had 29 carries against the Bills. That's shocking to me. Like you're gonna run this guy into the ground.
That's
like
bad management.
I feel sorry for Blake.
so
man.
that's
I feel
just
sorry for Blake.
coaching personnel wise. First of all, right off the bat, that's
Even
a
if
red
you
flag.
even if you love Kyron, that's just
Right, if-
bad player personnel coaching management.
Exactly. If you love him, then it's even more. It's like you need to preserve him a little bit more than that. So I just thought that was just not a great idea by Sean in the first place. Just the volume in 4 days. But
He's second in the NFL in carries, by the way.
right, and Blake Corum only had
Behind.
3 carries. So anyway, so that's the first thing. But I would say this: I don't think Kyron had a great game. I don't even think Kyron had a good game. But if I was going to say something positive, he ran really hard. I'll give him that. He ran his. I'm not saying he ran well. Like understand the distinction I'm making. He ran really hard and he pushed the pile a few times, and I respect him for that.
You
and
know,
I
who ran
appreciated
hard?
that.
Benny Cunningham ran hard.
Yeah, no, that's
Malcolm
Will,
Malcolm
I'm-
Brown ran hard.
Will,
that's
Will,
what
I'm
I'm
a
saying. though.
back you-
I'm
Will.
saying he didn't run well, but I'm saying he ran very hard,
Will,
and there's something to be
Well,
said for
I'm gonna
that.
back you up. I'm gonna back you. I'm not gonna let that. I'm gonna back you up. Kyron, like you said, he didn't have a good game, but the last couple weeks, like we said, I think not last week, but the week before, you can see his energy kind of shift to where he's running. It's not been good, but you can
He's
see he's
running
running
angry.
more with a purpose. He's running
Yeah.
more with a purpose.
He's running angry.
He's running angry because he's just not a great player, so it's not going to look great. But
Yeah.
I can see, I see what you're saying to where he actually looks motivated. He's running the ball hard, and it's changing like some third and short stuff like that. I'll give him that
Yeah.
credit on that. I
He-
agree.
yeah,
Why is he motivated though? That's it.
Well, I mean,
You know
that's
why that is? Because he was about to
Because-
lose his job.
Yes, there you go.
Me personally,
Yeah.
okay, that's cool and all. You're motivated. You're running harder. But at the end of the day, where was the effort before? Where was
Sure.
that
I
like
agree.
the 13 games before? Like, that just shows to me like, so it takes for a rookie to come in, have like a great drive, and be like, oh my god, my job's on the line. I need to start running harder. Where
Yeah.
was that 14 weeks before?
I think it's also because he fumbled, and it made him be like, "Shoot, I better run my freaking ass off, or I'm."
I mean, yeah,
or
that's
I'm,
part
you
of
know.
it. That's
But
part
I
of
agree
it.
with you. Yeah, it should have been there the whole time. I'll just finish up on the Kyron point by saying that was the little bit of positive that I wanted to give him. But man, he is still making so many misreads in the hole, and I wish we could play film. But there was one in particular in the high red area, like maybe 8 yards out from the goal line, 2nd and 2. Like it's 2nd and 2 and we're right by the goal line and the handoff is to the left and it's just blocked perfectly fine for no reason at all. I don't know if you guys remember this play. He cuts back, like he overthinks it. Like the hole is right there where it's designed to go and he cuts back for no reason, gets tackled for a loss, and you see him immediately like hit the ground because he knows that he effed up.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
think
he's
it
just
was,
been doing that way.
I think I know what that play. It was at the play where it was like a hole to the left and he cuts to the right.
Right
Yeah, that's
into a
what I'm
defender.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
We watched
yeah,
that
yeah.
on Amazon
Yeah,
Prime Vision from an aerial view, and it was 10 times
Yeah.
worse because you could see how big the hole actually was and how much space there. He would have literally dog walked into the end zone if he wanted to.
Right.
Like it was
Right.
wide
That was
open.
that was a huge mishap.
That
Like-
reminded me of Cam Akers' vision right there. Cam Akers used to do that a lot.
You
the
know,
hole was wide open, it would just make a weird cut
Yep.
into
Yeah,
like
he overthinks it. It's like, dude, it's
Yeah.
designed to go that way. It's blocked to go that way. The hole is there, and you're cutting back to the other side. Like, I don't understand. He's done that a lot this season. So
so I just
that's
I think if we're gonna shout out players who are playing hard, we should shout out Troy Reader. He played really hard while he was in the game. We shout out Christian Roseboom. He plays really hard. Bobby Brown plays hard. Quentin Lake plays hard.
I get what you're saying, but the difference is, I'm not saying I'm just clapping because he tried hard and gave effort. I'm saying there was actually positive, meaningful things that came from it. Like he pushed the pile. Like he would push the pile for extra yards. So I'm not just applauding him because of his.
I
effort.
even
I'm
have
saying
a disagree.
actually-
I even have like he got locked up in 2 yards because he made the wrong read, and then the O lineman came in behind him and shoved him forward 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. It happened twice. No, I mean, am I wrong? Who's shoving the pile? Like, let's be real.
It depends. It depends on the play like that we're talking about. But I thought he ran. I thought he ran hard and he pushed the pile a few different times. I also said that I don't think he ran great, and that's where I'm at.
Well, I'm with you, bro. Like, there's one
Two
thing
against
that
two.
Ethan doesn't like. Ethan doesn't like when I do it. But no matter how bad the player is, I always can recognize and respect when they do something well.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't say I thought he was great or even good. I actually said I don't think he was good at all. So it's not like
I know we've turned to like the Kate Kyron podcast. So I get that we're not going to give him the ups, but I think it's okay if we say Kyron, good job. I think that's an okay thing though.
yeah, I don't even know about a good
that's
job,
fair.
but just saying he ran his ass off.
That's-
That is literally my only take. He ran his ass off.
That's fair to say to a player, even though he's a bad player. Like, okay, good job, but you give that player props when they actually like play well.
100%.
Like if he runs hard for like maybe a couple of carries, I mean, like okay, that's cool and all, but run hard for all the carries, hit the right holes.
Yeah.
Well, see, the difference is I'm gonna tell it how it is, right? And just because Kyron gets 10 yards doesn't mean Kyron played well in that play.
Sure.
And that's where me and Joe don't agree on. Because if Kyron gets 10 yards and he doesn't get touched for 10 yards because the blocking is so well, it's still good job, Kyron. But it's not for me. Kyron has to earn something in order for him to get a good job. It's like every player does. It's just like with Christian Roseboom, right? He got a tackle. He stopped a guy for a 1 yard loss. Well, Braden Fisk took a double team because no one cares about Christian Roseboom. Jared Verse had a double team because no one cares about Christian Roseboom. Kobe Turner had a double team because, okay, Christian Roseboom, okay, he tackled a guy, but the only reason he was even in the play was because the guys in front of him did all of the work. Now, you're talking about Omar Speights, who's shedding blocks to get into the gap and make a tackle. That's not the same thing as Christian Roseboom getting totally untouched and making a tackle. They're not the same play. Even when you're talking about like Blake Corum, remember the second play he had last week in the Bills game where he had an insane juke, right? We even played it. It was an amazing play. He got 6 yards. That was better than any of the big runs that Kyron's had all season because he had to make 2 or 3 guys miss to get that yardage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can probably move on. I don't want to major into that.
Yeah, I feel like there are positives, by the way. If people think there aren't, there are definitely positives. But yeah, and I think one positive I want to bring up is Sean McVay. I mean, we know Sean McVay. He's an amazing play caller. He's a genius. Though, me personally, I have criticized him from personal decisions, some certain play calling decisions in the red zone, for example, on third down. But I felt like, especially in the second half, he called a great game. And and it's something that we've been asking for, right? Short passing game, quick throws, screens. I felt like, in the, like, for example, I mentioned this in the Bills game. I felt like we finally started to see the Rams offense we should have seen from before. And you guys can also like
The last 2 weeks, we have. The second half of the Bills game,
I mean, I just feel like Sean McVay, is finally now starting to call, great offense again.
Yeah, and like I like your point about like the stuff that we saw previous. Like we waited till week whatever against the Bills to start running the end arounds again. It's like
Man,
it's almost like you've seen him coming back to some of the things that he had success with in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the last time we've ran multiple bubble screens, multiple end arounds, fakes, just anything in general that was quick passing game.
Yeah,
Since like the 17-18 Rams offense.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. And go ahead, Will. I'm sorry.
No, you go.
Okay. One thing I do want to say, sort of piggybacking off of that, some things that we haven't seen all year. and I want to give credit to Stafford, but then it's kind of a shame that he really hasn't done it all season, being how long he's been in the league. But he actually threw like 2-3 checkdowns, and I know it's the most simplest thing that every good QB does, but Stafford doesn't really throw checkdowns that much. And against the Niners, he actually threw a check down to Blake Corum, and then he threw a
Dude,
check down to Tyron.
Corum looked smooth on that one, bro.
Yeah,
He's
and,
really
and
he's
it's
a
like,
smooth pass catcher.
and
It's
it's
a breath
like,
of fresh air, to be honest with
right.
you. Yeah.
On one hand,
Yeah.
it's like, why haven't you? Because
Yeah.
we've noticed every time we watch the game, those checkdowns be open. So on one hand, why haven't you done it? But on the other
Right.
hand, it's like, okay, kudos, good job, you did it. And Stafford also, I'm talking about in the stock up and stock down, but he's been taking care of the ball. Even though we have a stat that we could talk about as far as I think he's leading in like drop interceptions, but all in all, he's been taking care of the ball. So I think that's one thing I noticed a lot is to piggyback off OJ is that some new things that we haven't seen all season that they've been starting to do.
Yeah. And I know we don't do like a special teams segment, but I guess this is
Yeah.
the time to just give Josh Carty some credit. 4 field
Yeah.
goals. And I'll
Sure.
admit, I was starting to lose a little bit of confidence in this guy. Maybe I was premature in that. And it was also not just because of my own opinion, but kind of the way that Sean McVay had handled some certain situations. That
Yeah,
it almost seemed like
100%.
Sean McVay was the one not confident in him. I can point to the Patriots game. I can point to some other scenarios, but anyway, four field goals, and one of them was a 48-yarder in the rain that was tipped, and he's still like plenty. Like it would have been good from like 10 more yards. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it was easily good and right down the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a
Absolutely.
kick like that, like I feel like after that he missed that kick in the Patriots game. And look, it was a short kick, but it was an extremely windy game. I mean, the wind, if there wasn't, look, I mean, it's an excuse, fair enough, but if there was no wind, he makes that kick. But I felt like with the rookie kicker, Sean McVay, I don't remember if it was like a 4th down or McVay went for it when he could have easily just gone for like it was like a normal 40-yard field goal. I feel like that destroys confidence in a player.
Yeah,
And I felt like
it can.
him making that 50-yarder in the rain, just it looked like his confidence was back. And that's,
Yeah, that was huge.
I mean, we need that, especially going to the playoffs. Like, you're gonna need big field goals in big moments
Right.
of the
Oh,
game. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, I
In
mean,
playoffs, almost every game ends with a field goal,
I
a
mean,
game with a field
a
goal.
game
Almost every
winner. I
game.
mean, like to win a playoff game. I mean,
Yeah.
that is the scariest thing to think is that is my kicker gonna make this kick? I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
since Matt Gay, we haven't had a kicker like that. And I feel like we finally have found a kicker that we can rely on to make those big kicks in those big moments. And he used to do that at Stanford. I mean, I think
Right.
it was a 60-yarder. He made a clutch kick there. There's some other kicks, but yeah, I mean, he finally has his confidence back. Kudos to Cardi.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely. Kudos to him, man.
It's very rare that a rookie kicker is basically incredible in his rookie season. It doesn't happen very often, and there's so much of the kicking game is a confidence thing.
Right.
It's all
Yeah. And,
process as
bro,
well.
he's
Yeah.
only missed 5 field goals, bro.
I mean,
So
I feel like
people
also
been
a
acting
lot
like
of his,
no. Those are not even 5 field goals actually. He's
I
only
think
missed
4.
he missed 2 field goals and he missed
Oh,
an
2.
extra point. That's
No,
3.
he's missed 5 field goals.
Okay.
5 field goals. Okay, yeah. So yeah,
I mean,
only missed
he's
5.
not having
He's
a
a
good
rookie.
year. His kicking, he's 21 for 26 in field goals, and he's 80.8%, which is 26 in the NFL.
Here's what I was saying.
And he's
about
missed
that.
3 extra points. I mean, he's not
Yeah.
having a great statistical
It's
year,
not
but
good.
he's a rookie.
I mean,
Mhm.
here's what
Yeah.
I'll say about that. If you look back at some of those kicks that he missed, here's the thing about kicking, right? It's a whole process with the snap, with the laces being pointed forward from the punter, and then kicking through, right? Like some of the kicks that he missed, the laces weren't like completely forward and they
Yep.
were to the side, and that caused the kick to be
I
wobbly.
think 2 of them.
Maybe, yeah, it
Yeah.
caused the kick to be wobbly, then it strafed off to like the left or the right.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
one he just slipped,
Can we
Yeah,
be
which was
yeah,
Yeah.
that-
kind of, anyway.
But can we be real? Like, we can point at Josh Riccardi all we want, right? But our whole special teams as a whole
Yeah,
hasn't been very good.
true.
And so
yeah, I mean,
we
yeah,
have
that's what I
a
call the
punter with a
process, yeah.
huge leg too, right? Like we have guys who should be really good on special teams, but special teams has been problematic as a whole.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's one thing, right?
You know, Ashley's been good, and I've actually noticed, and it's so funny. And Ethan and OJ and Will, I know you're going to get mad about this, but the kick return defense has been really good. Most notably, Jordan Whittington has literally been making tackles and making plays.
Yeah.
Like
He's
on
been good on
special
both
teams,
sides.
he's been really,
Kick and punt.
really
Kick and
he's
punt.
been really good. At
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no.
Punt coverage has
I've
been
noticed
pretty
him a
good too.
lot.
Yeah,
been
the
really, really good.
defense has definitely taken.
And-
I know y'all. I know y'all want him to play in the actual game, but in the special, well, offense specifically, but in special teams, he's been really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to Ethan's point about the special teams not having been good before, I think one of the reasons why we were able to get these two recent dubs is because it finally started playing better. So special teams was big in the Bills win and the Niners win, so got to keep that
Absolutely,
up.
absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of what Joe
And
said,
Whittington's gonna break one, man. I'm gonna say that right now.
Yeah,
Whittington, I think he's gonna break one. So,
Yeah,
and-
Eventually,
Yeah.
eventually.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
be really good is to see Whittington get some catches.
yeah,
Crazy.
Yep.
speaking of what Joe said, like Whittington, he has a burst, man, on those kick returns. I mean,
Yeah.
we
Mhm.
mentioned this, right? Whittington, we saw like in those games when Puka and Cup were out, like he was great. It's just odd that he just doesn't get any snaps when D-Rob has been pretty awful, besides one game against Seattle. But yeah,
Speaking of D-Rob, he gets more snaps than this guy, and I want to talk about this guy because he deserves some recognition. D-Rob, even since Puka's been back, D-Rob has actually outsnapped Puka, which is just mental.
that's
That's a shame, bro. That's a shame.
That's
It's not like Puka's a bad run blocker; he's a great run blocker. So, but
I get early on because Puka was kind of still coming out the injury, but now
it's actually gotten worse, Joe. It's been the opposite. It's been
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, that's like that has to go with Sean McVay personal decisions.
Yep.
I mentioned earlier about how like he had a great game like coaching wise with play calls, but he still has like just questionable decisions with the personnel.
Mhm. Totally agree.
Anyways, this chart.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just this chart. This is the last 10 years. Yards per route run, which is basically like the epitome of efficiency, right?
Hall of Fame level, by the way.
Hall of Fame level. He is. So this is in the last 10 years. So you have Justin Jefferson, his entire career. You have AJ Brown. You have Julio Jones, Tyreek Hill. You have Antonio Brown. Like this is like them. Michael Thomas when he used to play before he became crazy and injured all the time. This is like, Jeremy Maclin's on this list for goodness sake, guys. This is like all the best receivers of the last 10 years in one grouping. And Puka Nacua is up here on an island by himself. He's the best by far in yards per route run against zone coverage, and he's second in the NFL against man. When we say Puka is him, what we're actually saying is that Puka is him.
Bro, he's going to have 1,000-yard season with only playing 12 games, bro.
I mean, if he
He's-
didn't get
he's gonna have
injured,
a-
he would have been an All-Pro. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
he would have been first team All-Pro. It would have been him. It would have been Jamar. And it would have been JJ.
Yeah, he's a top 3 wide receiver. Top
Yeah.
3, not top 5, top 3 wide receiver
Bro,
in football.
did y'all see what Tony Gonzalez said on the Amazon Prime thing? He was saying, man, he's watching the receivers, and he's saying other than Jamar and Justin, he thinks Puka is that third guy. He thinks Puka is
Yeah.
better than everybody else
Man,
other
I
than
saw.
Justin and Jamar.
I didn't watch the video, but I saw
agree
in
with that.
my YouTube feed, Steve Smith. He did a video about Puka. Puka
Oh, I gotta watch that. I
literally,
haven't watched
yeah,
Yeah.
how Puka's legitimately like made the Rams offense just what it is. Like without Puka,
Well, a
Rams
number one
offense-
receiver does that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just what number one receiver. I mean,
What is
arguably best receiver in the last 10 years.
what is like for the viewers at home? Name me one thing that current iteration of Puka, that 2024 Puka doesn't do exceptionally. I mean, being real, like you could say in his rookie year he had some hands issues, some drops issues. You could say he struggled at maybe catching in heavy, dense traffic with people all over him, but like he fixed both those.
He's got
issues.
better. He's got better than this year.
Yeah, not
His
now. I mean,
route running exceptional.
these last 2 weeks, he's made some insane catches.
Is there
So his
any
route
area of the
running-
field? Is
Yeah.
there any area of the field that he doesn't run to? Can he go deep? Can he go short? Can he go intermediate? Can he go outside the numbers, inside the numbers? Like what? Name me one aspect of Puka's game. That might people go, oh, there's guys like Tyreek Hill who's maybe more again talented, and we talk about how talent isn't everything, right? Tyreek Hill is on paper more talented than Puka Nacua. It's fine to admit that, but Puka
Mhm.
is more complete. Puka
Yeah.
has no holes in his game whatsoever. He's good at everything when it comes to being a wide receiver, including the small nitty-gritty stuff.
I'm telling you, the only two receivers that I think are better is Jamar and Jettis. Them the only two receivers.
Yeah.
that are better.
I had mentioned Tyreek the other episode. Never mind. No.
Hold
Just
on,
no.
hold on.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
I have a hot
Puka's
take for you.
top 3.
I have a hot take for you. I think there's a chance. No, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Puka's a better receiver than Jamar Chase. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
That is a limb.
No. I'll tell you why. because he's far more complete of a player than Jamar Chase is. Jamar Chase is really good at he's like incredible Hall of Fame level at like 2 or 3 things. Like, is Jamar Chase a good blocker?
No.
Is he even a willing blocker? Not really.
No.
No.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay, and what is the depth of Jamar Chase's game in the short area of the field? He besides screens, I know he does screens, but like a lot of his
Not their
stuff is
offense.
deep.
They've
Posts,
been
streaks,
using him more.
deep outs,
with-
deep ins.
They're not his off. Their offense is not really short. yardage.
I'll
That's
say
the-
this: I've seen them using him more with end arounds and sweeps. I'll say that this year.
Yeah, no, and that's solid. But I'm saying like he doesn't get used in slants or quick outs, curls. Like he's really a deep out, deep in, post,
Yeah, I go
corner route, streak route. Like he has a player archetype, whereas Puka literally does everything. He runs streaks, post, deep outs, deep ins, slants, curls. Like Puka literally runs every route in every game almost. Now, I'll finish you with this, and I think this is an important factor. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but like Jamar is easily the number 1 option all the time. And sometimes Cooper Kupp's the number 1 option. Sometimes we go hard on the run. But Jamar is always number 1 guy. He gets an insane amount of targets, and he has Joe Burrow throwing the football. And we could say and he's been healthy. Like if both players have been healthy this year, I think Puka exceeds him in numbers. And Joe Burrow has been on a tear this season, bro. I know you like Jamar Chase. I know he's one of your favorites, but I'm just saying when you consider the totality of it.
I love Puka too.
I know,
love,
of course.
Love.
But I think it's the same as it's a similar situation to Tyreek Hill. Like on paper, Jamar Chase is more talented because he's more capable of explosive plays. But like Puka is a more complete player. And when you're talking about the reason why having a more complete player matters is because it opens up more things for your offense as a whole, right? Because being able to send Puka effectively into a deep in to open up the post route for another player is important, right? Like that stuff matters because Puka is such a threat in every route combination that exists. And the fact that you know that you can run the ball to his side or throw a screen to Cooper Kupp on his side or Tutu Atwell end arounds because you know Puka is going to block his ass off. That stuff matters, man. It changes what the coach can do.
You know what? Like I know you were trying to find a cultural reference for something earlier on.
Mhm.
Something that I thought of recently because I was actually thinking about this. I was having a conversation with some other friends of mine about receivers in football, and I had Puka 3 behind Jamar and Jettis. And the reason I said Jamar was because I likened it to basketball. Like during their prime years, Kawhi was probably one of the most all-around players we've ever seen, other than Bron, right?
Mhm.
So, but then you have Steph Curry. To me, in their prime, Steph Curry is better. The reason Steph Curry is better is he's not a better defender. It's because offensively, what he does from the offensive end, he does that at such an elite high level that to
Yeah.
me it outweighs it. Like Jamar,
Yeah.
what he does is how he goes deep, how ready he is after the catch. He does it at such an elite high level. To me, I think it slightly just weighs over in Puka's game.
I think that's a fair. I think it's a fair comparison. I wouldn't say Kawhi. I would say LeBron versus Steph, or even like LeBron versus Kobe or something like that, right? It's oftentimes it really boils down to a preference of style, and well, obviously we're totally splitting hairs here. We're talking about 2 generational Hall of Fame level
Of course,
talents.
let's put it.
Yeah,
Um,
I was going to say, without even picking my Jamar over Puka, I think the beauty of it is that Puka,
They're both
I'm
amazing.
like 95% sure that Puka is better for our offense and our scheme,
Yeah, he
just
fits
based off what we run and the things that McVay
Sure.
likes to do. So I'll take Puka for our team. I don't know if I'll take, in a vacuum, that's a tough one, but yeah.
it's it's a similar situation to like quarterback comparisons, right? It's like you pay one guy to kind of do everything like Josh Allen type, and then you pay another guy like Tom Brady to like run the offense at its highest level of efficiency. So one is more hero ball and one is more like you are perfect in this offense and the system that we've created.
You know what?
Right.
That's a great point.
Right.
Jamar Chase's game is sort of like hero ball. It's like
Mhm. He's the
he can get
Lamar.
a-
He's the Lamar
he can get
Jackson
an
of
80-yard
receivers.
Well,
he get an 80-yard catch. Well, I'm happy about that. I think Lamar is amazing. So I'm
I know
happy
you
about it. I'm happy
are.
about that.
Anyway, all right.
We probably move on to defense.
Puka
so-
is amazing. Let's move on to something else.
Yeah.
Defense
Yeah,
time,
he's amazing.
baby. All right. So we already kind of at nauseam talked about Kobe Turner. So let's skip over that. The rest of the defense, Omar Speights was brilliant. Cam Kinchins, Cam Curl were great. I thought the corners were okay. I thought Quentin Lake was cheeks. I thought Akello was being crazily overhyped. He had a couple of, Jake says he had 3 pass deflections. I mean, 2 of them were really poor throws that were not going to be completed either way. He did technically touch them, so props on that. Like, I'm willing to give people props when they do something really well, but
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Okay. I saw Akello make a couple pass breakups that like they were like solid. I'm not saying I'm sitting here praising the guy. I'm just saying here, let me put it this way. Considering how cheeks I thought he was, I was like pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh, okay, he's okay. Like he's hanging in there. He's making a couple plays.
but we're not having that conversation. We're having a conversation like Akilla Witherspoon should get signed to a max contract. Like
this is our conversation right here. And I'm
Sure.
saying for our conversation, I think Akello as a backup corner that had to come in and fill in, did okay. I thought he was okay. And
Well,
I thought yeah, go ahead.
No, but that was my reference. Was I know that in the Twitter sphere and in Rams sphere, people are talking about
I get what
Akella
you're
like
saying.
he deserves to be paid and re-signed, and he
Yeah.
deserves to be a lifetime starter. Like he played fine. He played fine
I get
for
what
a
you're
backup cornerback. I agree. I prefer him to be there making plays, whether the throws were awful or not, than not being there. But like, yeah,
Yeah. No, I hear you.
I'm always gonna push back against
It's not-
overrating the crap out of players.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, look, he did make like maybe like I would say one of the pass breakups.
One of
could
them
have
was
been-
excellent.
It could have been PI or holding.
It was. It
yeah, and
definitely
then,
out of the break
one
he
of-
was holding onto his hip.
The double slant where he there was 2 slants and he got a PBU on one of the slants.
One of them was.
It was
excellent,
in the
and another
first
one-
quarter.
I think I know what play you're talking
He
about.
held them around the waist on his break. It was pretty obvious, but also the ball was not even catchable. Like it was far off target. He did touch it and he got a PBU for it, but that was never going to get caught regardless because of his hold. The guy was nowhere near where the ball ended up.
What? Okay.
That was
Yeah,
the
I
first
think
quarter
that
one.
was,
But I think I know what you're talking about. I think
One
it was
of
on
the
Jennings,
throws
right?
Was,
Yeah.
It was an underthrow by Purdy. Then another one was a great, pass breakup. But I'll say this: like he played all right. I mean, at the end of the day, he did allow a team high 4 catches, 57 yards, and 7 targets. So
Yep.
he did do some good things. But at the same time, he's still like, a killer Witherspoon. He's still just a average.
Yeah.
Average
I mean,
corner.
I think
yeah.
it just
Average
depends what your expectations were of him. For me, it was like Kobe Durant being out. I was bummed about because
Sure.
he had just come off a good game. So I was like, oh no, like Jacoby's out. Like we have to have Akello. And I thought I was like, okay, like this guy's playing, like he's playing all right. He was solid. So I was like, I was okay. I was, cool with how he played. How about that for a take? I was cool with how he played. He was all right.
He was all
Yeah, I
right.
mean that's
I agree.
fair. I mean,
I
He's
just-
fine, yeah.
I just don't want to overrate him. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean that's fair. He played all right. I mean, I don't think.
I think the secondary as a whole played pretty well. Obviously, though, it's hard to
There were so
gauge
many
it, right? 'Cause
drops and
there's rain, there's drops, yeah. So I don't know. I'm trying to be like careful here, but
Realistically-
Cam Curl was good.
I saw some good
Cam
things.
Curl-
I would say there were
Curl-
two. I would say there
Jenkins,
were
Curl and
Curl.
Kinchins. I thought they were
Yeah.
actually like Curl.
Like I
and
saw some good stuff in the secondary.
You know what the difference is? It's so much easier with the safeties because every play that they make basically is like they have to, because they're moving to where the ball's being thrown. They're making plays, whereas the corners kind of all benefited a lot from just some sloppy play from Purdy. Was horrific this game, like really
Yeah.
bad. And they dropped balls like crazy. Like but the safeties, bro, the safeties were great. I
Yeah,
thought
I
they
was
were
gonna
all over the
say-
field making plays, including in the run game, by the way.
Bro, I don't believe in jinxes, but I remember I wrote in the Discord because Stafford was having a horrible first half, and I was like, bro, like how the hell is Brock Purdy outplaying Stafford?
Just
And
he
then
was
like
bad.
right after I said that, Purdy just like and Stafford started playing better. So
You're right.
All the 49er fans, you finna pay Brock Purdy. He's off.
Oh my gosh, I
Man,
can't
what-
wait.
I
I
know.
cannot
Listen,
wait till
listen.
they pay him.
I
well,
hope they pay them. I will throw
It's
a
like-
party. I will celebrate.
Hey,
bro,
Yeah.
just
Telling you right
paid
now.
Ayuk. I was like, dude,
He's
Ayuk
paid.
is not that great to be paying that much money.
Can
I'm
we-
so glad they did
oh,
this.
100%. They paid him top 5 money, and he's like basically
You know the
he's a decent to good second receiver. He's not even really a
Yeah.
wide receiver one.
you know what's the funny thing?
No, he's not.
They
Yeah.
didn't need to pay Ayuk because Juwan Jennings does exactly what Ayuk
He does.
Yeah,
Juwan
he-
Jennings is like
to let him walk, bro.
Bro, they've made some
mean,
terrible decisions. And you know what's
yeah,
funny is
That's
they're
an
about to
that's an
pay
Auburn
Purdy.
team
They're
I
about
love
to
it.
pay Purdy, bro.
I hope
Bro,
they do.
Debo Samuels is still on a big deal right now, actually, which is the
That
funny. And
that that's a
he's the most
robbery.
watched player. He's the most watched player in
That
football.
right there is
Wow.
probably one of the biggest robberies in the league. I mean, to be
Bro,
honest with you,
it's
let's think about it. Like the Niners have a lot of players who've robbed, the team of money.
you
Let's
know
think
what's
about it.
crazy about Debo is like beyond the fact that he's always been inconsistent, he's never been a very good receiver. He's always had drop problems. He's really only been good for one season. Beyond all of that, he's always had a trash attitude. He's always had like
Yeah.
he's the
Yeah.
anti-Ram. You guys ever notice that? Like he is the anti-Ram. Like we're the team that wants to have these guys who are like watch the way that Puka goes up to do a post-game interview and he gives all the credit to the O-line, to Stafford, to Cup, to other receivers. Cup did the same thing. Stafford did the same thing. Like and Debo blames everything on everyone else. He whenever he has a good game, he's like, yeah, I deserve it. I'm the best. Like, bro, the attitude is just awful. Like, why would you want that kind of cancerous attitude on your team?
Hey man, and
Bro,
I think
guess
No,
how
you
old he
go.
is, bro.
Yeah, go
Debo?
ahead, Joe.
He's about to be 29 years old.
I know he's crazy young.
I mean,
Wow.
that's
He
yeah,
came
that's
in
not-
really young.
He's young to be washed. How did he get washed so quick?
Yeah, because he's just
Do
wasn't.
you know why?
You know why?
Like legit, because he's Chris Johnson at a receiver position. He was all about his quickness, his speed, and so two things happen: either you start getting leg injuries and you slow down, and then you're done, or number two is you start to actually just decline with age. And he had a bunch of lower leg injuries, and then his speed disappeared just a fraction, and then he was just done. So like it was over for him. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to stock up. Offense. Who wants to start us off?
I'll go ahead and go first real fast. My stock up is back-to-back weeks. Well, I wasn't here last week, but the week before that, my stock up was Matthew Stafford. And the reason why it's Matthew Stafford
Okay,
is
interesting.
like I said earlier, I like how he's not turning over the ball, even though he's had a lot of turnover-worthy plays. But like if I'm looking at it from a macro sense, he hasn't turned the ball over realistically. So right now has 7 turnovers, and I think if he finishes the season, that'll be his lowest turnover he's ever had in his whole career, minus the season he was injured and stuff like that. So I would say Matthew Stafford is my stuck right now. He's been protecting the ball, and I've liked the way he's played since the Saints game.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
I think I'm about to take yours, OJ, because I actually heard you mention it.
I think I know what it is.
So what I'm gonna do is I'll just say
It's fine, yeah.
it's Kevin Dotson.
yeah.
And I'm gonna just say a little bit, and I'm gonna let you go because I feel like you're even more passionate about it than I am. But I'm gonna be very simple. I think this guy this is the game where I was like, oh, this guy's an all pro. Like he's an all pro right guard. The way. And one more thing I want to say is, I think the idea when we got Dotson and Jonah Jackson was like, oh, we're gonna have like a really beefed up, powerful interior O line. But I didn't take into account how good this guy was in space. Like we talked about, I think you mentioned that tunnel screen already to Puka, where he's like out in space, getting to the second level. Like, bro, he's not just like a mauler inside. Like this guy can move. I'm just so impressed with Kevin Dotson. So that's my stock up.
Yeah, I mean, I have the exact same thing. I mean, not a shocker. I mean, Kevin Dotson, man, he's just a monster, man. I think I mentioned this earlier. I think he is the best run blocking guard in the league. The guy, whatever, like you get behind him, Kyron, Blake, whoever it is, the guy just creates a hole. Him and Have are arguably the two best right guard, right tackle run blocking duo in the league. So when you get behind that dude, I mean, you're gonna at least get 5, 6, 7 yards when he creates a hole. So like I said, I feel like he should deserve an All Pro this season. I don't know. He's probably not gonna get it. Like it is what it is. But in my heart, he's an All Pro. He's just a dominant run blocker. I mean, that's my stock up.
My stock up was going to be the O line, and I kind of we all have different styles of stock up, stock down.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
My style of stock up, stock down is basically kind of like getting a temperature feel of on the Twitterverse and the Rams verse of how people are generally looking at a guy, and then trying to decide if they're underrated or overrated, and then like trying to bump them in the right direction using the stock up and the stock down. That's kind of how my mentality is. And so I was gonna say O-line because the O-line is like chronically underrated. Even like I saw the other day someone was like, we're one of the worst O-lines in football, and I was like, bro, you're out of your mind. Like,
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's just
it was
yeah.
like an argument between Lions and Rams fans. And they're like, "You the Lions have one of the best O lines in football, and the Rams have one of the worst." And I was like, "That isn't true at all. In fact, if you made me choose, I would choose the Rams O line today, no questions asked."
Bro, like we said before, if you cut off when Steve Avila started playing and you just use that data
Top
from
two,
then on
three.
to now, yeah, easily.
And by the way,
By the way,
the Lions have been horrific. The O line's been awful like the last 7 or 8 weeks for the Lions, like really
yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah. And I just wanted to very quickly say too, like there's all these things like, oh, how did the Rams do it? They crawl back out of 1-4. This is the second season they've done this. They're 7-2 since the bye. It's very simple. The O line got healthy. Like to me, that's literally it's one sentence. The O line got healthy. Everything changed when guys started coming back.
There's more to it than that, but that's definitely.
Yeah.
The,
I mean, I
that's the
don't literally
foundation.
mean
Yeah.
it's one sentence, but to me, that's the biggest explanation.
That's the foundation of what's changed. Yes, and
yeah.
so since you guys kind of did the O line, I'm just gonna give him one more shout out to Puka Nakua. And this is not a Rams verse. Actually, you know what it is? I don't think most Rams fans view Puka as a top 3 receiver. I think they just view him as like a Pro Bowl, like top 10 guy. I don't think there's a lot of Rams fans who think he's a top 3 receiver or a future Hall of Famer. I think that might be unique to us and maybe like a small handful of like Puka fanatics. So in that sense, he is kind of underrated. But on the larger scale, like I don't think anyone else in the NFL considers Puka a top 3 receiver.
Yeah.
I don't think the NFL views him that way at all. And so for that reason, it's Puka, underrated criminally. Stock up defense.
I'll start. I had the safeties, Cam Curl and Cam Kinchins.
Didn't I call them the Cam Bros?
You did on the very first episode
never
that we
caught
ever
on,
did,
did
the
it?
season preview. No, but maybe it will now because they're playing. I'm just starting now to really like. But I mean that's not true. I've been liking them actually. But anyway,
They're
stock
starting to
up
find their
for.
groove though. Yeah.
Yeah, they really are. Especially like alongside of each other, specifically like playing together.
Yep.
There's still a little bit too much of, in my opinion, Cam Curl playing deep. But anyway, I won't rag on that right now. Cam Curl, I thought had a really good game. He had a couple pass breakups on George Kittle.
Yep.
Cam Kinchins had a very key pass breakup deep down the field on like a 2nd and 20 that if they had converted that just would have been a backbreaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it. Cam Kinchins and Cam Curl are playing good football, man. Stock up for both of those guys.
Yeah.
I'll go next.
I'll go ahead, OJ.
No, you can go. You can go.
Okay. Yeah, but my stock is gonna be quick. My stock up is like I did with Jared and some other players with Puka. This one I'm going to throw everything I got into this stock. Kobe Turner. He's amazing. To begin the season, you know, rightfully so. We talked about Jared. We talked about Braden. And Kobe Turner sort of was flying under the radar, but these last 3-4 weeks, he's been amazing week after week. I think yesterday he had like 2 sacks, maybe like 2.5 sacks.
Two.
Not yesterday, Thursday's game. He had 2 sacks, and he's been getting better and better and better. He's been playing relentless. He's been doing everything, bro. And I've been really, really, really admiring his game, bro. And I think he's an incredible player.
That's actually my stock up as well. So I'm just gonna quickly tack onto that and basically say, same thing as Puka. Like the vast majority of the NFL fans and even Rams fans, I don't think have really considered or wrapped their heads around the fact that Kobe Turner is the top 3 defensive tackle in the NFL right now. And so for that reason, stock up because I think he's played that way for 2 years now, but especially this year, he's ascended to a new level, and I think he deserves that respect.
Absolutely.
All right. I have Omar Spates. Man,
That's
I
a good
just
one.
That's
I
a good
feel like
one.
this guy just every week just continues to get better and better. I feel like this game, especially in the run defense, dude was a monster. Every hole that was created by the O-line by the Niners, every hole that Guerrero, hit, the guy was meeting him. He wasn't, getting driven back like Reed or Roseboom would. The guy is just a beast, man. And listen, I felt like a couple of weeks ago, I might have said that this guy might have been a serviceable starter. Like maybe you get another great linebacker aside him, but man, I think we potentially have like a great linebacker on our hands. Like I feel
Yep.
like this guy got slept on a lot in the draft, and I feel like we might have hit on a potential like beast of a UDFA. Like this guy could be a top 10, top 15 level linebacker for years to come.
Hey, I want to
Yep.
give a shout out to my boy Ryan. He throughout the whole draft process, he was like Omar Spates. This is the guy, and I was like, he's okay. He's cool. He's all right. And then I hadn't watched a lot of him because he was really far down in the draft boards, and we kind of watch in order. He was like, I'm telling you, man, this is the dude. Like literally before, like a month before the draft, he was talking about him. Then we drafted him. He was like, this is the guy. And then I finally started watching film on him, like a lot of it, and I was like, oh dang, he is kind of a guy, isn't he? And but he was on it like way in advance. He was mocking Omar to us in the fourth round a lot.
Wow.
Like he was on it, and so shout out, he killed that. And yeah, Omar's a guy. I really like that pick.
Yeah.
All right, so moving to stock down offense. You know, like I just saying, like a lot of it for me is like correcting narratives on players, and like fighting against people who are being overhyped or underhyped. And so for me, Puka and Kobe are being underhyped criminally, and some of the guys that just stock up offense. One of the guys that's being overhyped criminally for me. I know we beat this drum in so many times. But I'm gonna make it real quick. Kyron, Twitterverse going bonkers about back-to-back 100-yard games when he had almost 30 carries in both of those games, average 3.7 yards per carry or less. Like, bro, no other fan base would be accepting this. Like, I genuinely don't think any other fan base would be like, he's an all-pro guy, he deserves an extension. Like, people are going cuckoo over Kyron, and I'm just like, are we watching the same sport right now? Like, I'm genuinely confused. Kyron does not deserve an extension. Back-to-back 100-yard games when he's getting 30 carries each is not good.
Yeah.
Football is a game where every play matters, and how many yards you get per play matters. That's how you get to score touchdowns, right? And Kyron Williams, whether he's receiving the ball or running the ball, is one of the least efficient plays in the NFL. That's just factual. And we've spent ad nauseum hours talking about how good the run blocking has been, receivers included, tight ends included. So easy, quick, stock down, Kyron, man.
Listen, if we don't give him an extension, somebody's going to pay him, bro. He's
That's
the
fine.
media.
Dude,
The media
Yeah.
loves him.
in fact, you know what?
Media loves him.
Can I sign up the San Francisco 49ers to extend him? Can you imagine a Brock Purdy, Kyron Williams offense?
It's probably unrealistic because they have Garendo, but yeah.
And they have CMC. But
Listen,
yes.
bro.
Yeah.
The media loves him to death.
No, I
They
agree with
do.
you 100%, but that's what I'm saying. I'm here to correct the narrative. Kyron is not that guy, and
Hey,
he's being talked
listen,
about like he is.
I have an idea that's a potential possibility because I feel like this guy is, and it's not his fault. I feel like it's the team, it's the O line. I feel like he could get phased out. Kenneth Walker.
Dude,
If Seattle doesn't accept
I would
him,
love Kenneth
Are you
Walker,
kidding
man.
me?
we could trade. Take Kyron, we'll take
Bro,
Kenneth Walker.
I would
Because I'm
say-
telling
Oh
you,
my
Kenneth
God.
Walker,
listen,
Kenneth Walker is one of the best running backs I've seen in a long time.
He's
bro.
if you look at the
He's
stats,
elite.
Hot take. He's a
No,
top 3 back.
They O line is
look-
just
if
so
you look
bad.
at-
I don't hate it.
if you look
He's
at
really good for sure.
if you look at the stats,
And they don't need him. Charbonnet is good too.
If you look at the
Sorry, go
stats, yeah, no, you're good. If you look at the stats, he's probably no. I think he is the best running back in the league in yards after contact. Like, and it's like not even close. Like, it's like astronomically like a huge difference. Like, he's all the way at the top of the chart, and everyone else is just here or at the bottom.
Yeah, their run blocking is trash too.
Yeah, I mean,
If he's been a good-
Seattle's
if he's
had
been
an
a good
awful
offensive
O line for years, and we know.
Yep.
I would say so. Speaking of stock downs on offense, I had the same guy last week. I'm gonna keep beating this guy to the ground until we start to see Whittington play. D-Rob. Besides the Seattle game,
Yep.
any Rams fan, any football fan, tell me, what has this guy done? He is just
Yeah.
useless. People tell me, okay, he's a great number 3. If you're a great number 3 with a guy like Cooper Kupp, who's literally getting followed on every single
Yeah.
play by basically 2 players against the Niners, and then you have a guy like Puka who's phenomenal,
Getting
why
bracketed.
isn't D-Rob exactly? Why isn't D-Rob, making more of an impact if he's such a great number 3?
Right.
We
Yeah.
talked about this
I
before the
agree.
season.
I agree.
Yeah.
D-Rob is not
Yeah.
a number 3. He's a number 4. That's just the facts. He's a specialty player. He's not a guy who should be playing 80% of the snaps, game in and game out. He's just not.
I agree. Man, you guys. All right. Well, look, you guys aren't gonna like mine, but first of all, it was hard for me to pick one this week because there's not that many people that
I
like.
feel like I know what it is, but yeah.
I
already know.
I already don't like it. Go
Who
ahead.
do you guys think it is? Who do you guys think it
Cooper
is?
Cup.
You're
Cooper
right.
Kupp.
Yeah.
You're right. All right, listen.
Yeah.
So first of all, like I just said, there weren't a lot of options. I'm not going to stock down Kyron Williams because I've already done it like a bunch. Joe, you had stocked Cooper Cup down a couple weeks ago, and my pushback to you was, oh, he's only a couple games removed from having a good game against New England. But now that it's been a couple more games where, I mean, like he had 0 catches in that game. And even my counterpoint to you last episode was, well, he does so much dirty work, right? And that's true. But I don't understand why the take can't be, it's still slightly socked down that, yes, he's doing a lot of dirty work and important stuff, but simply put, he used to be an amazing receiving threat. And to me, it's not, when I say stock down, it's not like I think he's washed or I think he's a worse player, but just like his role as like a featured receiver in the offense, like why don't we manufacture touches to him like we used to? That's a question I have. Like he's still pretty good with the ball in space and like after the catch. Like why are like I understand Puka might be like a little bit better at that at this point in his career, but why is it like all of those plays go to Puka and like barely any those little just easy, just get him a touch, those type of plays.
But those
like why aren't we doing that to Cooper Kupp?
That's not Cooper Kupp's fault though.
No, but that's what I just said though. I'm saying it's not just stock down of his. I'm saying he's not good anymore. He's washed. It's like his role in the offense as a receiver. That's exactly my point. It's not his fault,
I
but
feel
like
like that's more
it's just
of
his
a-
role is just doesn't seem to be like this is someone that we're like really trying to get the ball to.
I feel like that's more of a McVay stock down.
Yeah, I
To
agree.
be honest with you, because
But then also, I
Yeah,
don't think
you could interpret it that way. Sure.
I think we
Makes
got to be
sense.
real though. He has had a decline in play. I think we'll be fools to not
yeah,
say
obviously
like
he's not. He's
Yeah,
not like
I think that's also part of it. A little bit.
athletically wise, he's not as quick as fast as he
Yeah.
was, say, in 21. That is a
Yeah.
fact. But I
Yeah.
feel
because
like
after the catch, he hasn't been nearly as good as he used to be.
Right.
but
Yeah. I think that's more or
I
less
agree
true.
with you, Will. Though, like regarding like scheming up, like with we used to run a ton of bubble screens and even jet sweeps with what's his name, Cup, and for some reason now, like I mean, yeah, I love the fact that Puka, is getting a lot of touches and it's being designed for him, but Cup can also do those things. He
Yeah,
might not
exactly.
I mean, he might not be
Yeah.
able to do it the level degree that he used to do to, but he can still like he's still like a good receiver after the catch.
Right.
He-
Right. And I thought about what you said about how it's on McVay, and I agree. But I ultimately settled on him because I also agree with you that I think there is a slight, and Joe, you said it too, like a slight downtick in like the athleticism, et cetera. So, but all that to end that saying is like, look, again, if you're going to give like 9 of them to Puka, like, I'm not saying you need to give 9 of them to Cup also, but give like 3 of them to him. I mean, this like, you make it a little bit more of a focal point to just get him the ball, in my opinion. But anyway, go ahead.
I actually like OJ said, he was being basically double teamed all game long against the Niners. There was a heavy focus against him, but yeah, I think this is heavily on Sean and Stafford. I mean, they're scheming Tutu open, they're scheming D-Rob open, they're scheming. The only guy who's not really getting schemed is Cooper, and like,
I mean, that's okay. Go ahead, keep going.
But don't you think part of it is McVay's seeing something like
no,
something about
he's
like-
he's
to
getting.
get him to
How,
like
how
that?
many times do we say in a game, "Oh, dang, Cooper was wide open and Stafford didn't hit him"? Like literally, that happens
I
a
feel
handful of
like-
times every game.
I feel like
Yeah,
he
it happens a couple
kind of-
times. Yeah,
I feel like he's kind
true,
of being
that's true.
used as more of a decoy.
I agree.
yeah,
And-
that's fair.
And guys are
Wide
heavily.
receiver one, baby.
Yeah, why? And I mean, yeah. When we talk about decline, though, we're talking about Triple Crown decline. Like Cooper Cup is
Mhm.
still a 12 to 1400 yard receiver when he's being
Absolutely.
utilized. And the issue
Yeah,
is
Absolutely.
he's not really being utilized. In fact, the only games he is getting utilized in is like if you look at his average depth of target, it's gone way down this season. So he's really only being utilized in the very, very short game. And we know that. So part of the reason we're talking about Stafford not going his way is because Stafford's always going to try to get the biggest play possible. That's his, like, Cooper has become a de facto check down option this season for some reason. Because even when you look at his big games, right, it's like he had 12 catches for like 105 yards. He wasn't even getting 10 yards a catch because they were such short passes. So his role has just seemingly changed. And part of that, I think, is due to McVay wanting to have more of a release valve for the offense. And like, because let's be real, when you check down to Kyron Williams, worth nothing. When you check down to Hunter Long or Colby Parkinson, worth nothing, right? Like you check down to Cooper Cup and it's still worth some stuff. Because we're talking about like his run after the catch. Yeah, it's not as good as it used to be, but he's also not being put in as good of situations to have explosive yards after catch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's kind of a double-edged sword.
I agree with you.
I want to see him be utilized properly. and underperform before I go all in on, okay, Cooper's getting washed and he's slowing down. Obviously, he's not Triple Crown guy anymore. Obviously.
He's not washed at all.
No, he's
I'm not.
he's definitely not washed.
He's not
Yeah.
washed at
I've
all.
been really unhappy with the way he's been used. I think it's putting a lot on Puka, and not that he hasn't handled it well, but like the offense will be at its best when everyone is getting touches. That's my opinion. Like if you look at the Bills
Yeah.
game, that was a little bit more of a factor in that game than it was in other games. And not in a heavy way. I mean, but he had 8 targets that game. He had 92 yards and a touchdown, and he was effective on moving the chains and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I understand the stock down because you stock down based on perception of like role and all that stuff as well. So, but Cooper's the man still.
Yeah, I agree.
Who else stock down? Who else is gone?
I'm good. We can move on. Mine was Demarcus Robinson. We really don't have to talk about
Yeah.
him.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So
Okay.
that's it. So let's move on to defense stock down. Again, I'm gonna be the I'll be the fixer, right? The perception fixer, and I'm gonna go Christian Rosen because I saw some guys on Twitter saying Christian Rosen has been Pro Bowl level since Reader went down with his injury. That is one of the most asinine takes I've ever heard. It's the same thing we've been talking about with the way that the way it hurts other players around them. Baldinger is not a Rams fan, by the way. He's not a Rams House podcast member. He's literally an NFL analyst, and he told you straight up, point blank, the 49ers basically pretended that Roseboom didn't even exist. They never even bothered trying to block him because you know what? His instincts and his speed are too slow. So that if you can, you can actually avoid blocking him and get right past him, and you block guys who actually can make plays. So, yeah, Rosen got a couple nice tackles like he has every week for the last 3 or 4 weeks, but it's coming at the expense of other players. That's the facts. And other players are having to overcome, or by the way, that makes Omar Speights' play even more spectacular because he's now the focal point of the second level for all offenses. We've seen this. The second, whenever an O lineman goes to the second level, they're clearly headhunting for Omar Speights. They're ignoring Roseboom, ignoring Quentin Lake, and they're going for Omar Speights every single time. So, yeah, bro, you can miss me with the Christian Roseboom is playing at a much higher level. He's making plays because no one even acknowledges his existence. It's disgusting. It's the same thing about Bobby Brown making the occasional good plays when he's the least double teamed defensive tackle in football as nose tackle. Like it's just miss me with that.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
my stock down is, I mean, this is pretty obvious. Bobby Brown. Like I said, I mentioned this earlier. I can't remember a single impact that Bobby Brown brought to the game. I mean, even then, like, I was going to mention that his snaps have gone down, but in reality, they haven't because in the Bills game, he had like a 25% snap count, but in this game, he had like a 50% snap count. So they actually went back up. So I think that's another, negative.
I genuinely thought that he barely played this game. I'm not even kidding you.
Yeah.
I said that while watching the game.
That's
I was
how
like,
I felt.
I was like,
Yeah.
hey, thumbs up to Shula McVay for not paying Bobby Brown. But I guess he did play. He just was literally invisible.
Yeah, and I saw Tyler Davis make a couple of good plays.
did.
Yeah, by the way,
he pushes the pocket well, even though
by
he
the
didn't
way,
play that much.
Speaking of Tyler Davis,
Just if anyone doesn't know, Tyler Davis is the rookie 6th round defensive tackle
mean,
that plays
he had-
behind Bobby Brown.
he played 15 snaps and he had like 2 run stops.
One of them,
Yeah.
by the way, one of them
He was
was
a
a
big
work
run
of
stop.
art. It was on third
Yeah.
down, and he broke a double team to get it. It was beautiful.
Yeah, man, he's good. I like Tyler Davis.
I do.
I think he's gonna end up being a real player for us. I like Tyler Davis.
If we could give Tyler Davis more playing time for the rest of the season, because you know what, you may convince me to forego going and getting a legit nose tackle if we can see Tyler Davis can do it before. Like if we don't see enough of Tyler Davis, we got to go get a nose tackle. But if we see enough of him, I'm like, you know what, let's go with Tyler Davis.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, at least for
I
now,
agree.
right? At least for now, like, look, Bobby Brown's an awful nose tackle. Let's stop that experiment.
Yep.
And Kobe Turner has been one of the best. I mean, he's literally is a nose tackle. As much as he technically isn't, he is
Yep.
playing nose tackle, and he's been arguably the best like nose tackle in the league, and arguably the best D tackle in the league. You put him alongside Tyler Davis. I mean, with Fisk, that's a great D line, man.
You can't single block Tyler Davis for
Yeah.
70% of the plays. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like
Real
we
quick,
said,
my
addition
side.
by subtraction.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry about that, Joe. But yeah.
That's all right.
Not
Go
good,
ahead.
Joe. Now go ahead,
Oh,
Joe. You do your stock down.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. Mine's super easy. It's Quentin Lake. He's been
Hmm.
Gosh.
he just sucks, man. So I'm just leave it
No,
there.
that was
He's not a good.
that was a
I love
great.
that. He just sucks. I
Hey,
mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
you
You're
know
right.
what? You're the last one, right? Hey, we
Yeah.
all agree about all of them so far. You have the chance to really hammer this thing home. Come on, Will.
I'm boring, man. I got nothing, guys.
I thought you were
I'm
gonna
not.
after the Cooper
No,
Cup thing. I thought you were gonna go Braden Fisk or something crazy.
no. I'm not gonna stock down like Michael Hoyt or I literally just had Quentin like last week. I just don't have anyone like new that from this game I'm looking at and thinking they're lower than what I
Sure,
was on
sure.
them. I got nothing.
All right. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and just jump into the Rams versus Jets preview. We're gonna go through this quickly because we're short pressed on time. But Rams are healthy. Jets are mostly healthy. I think they're missing a couple guys in the secondary. Overall, they've been kind of an up and down team. Basic thoughts on Rams offense versus Jets defense. Any major thoughts?
Yeah, we talked about it a lot earlier, so we can make this really quick. Our offense has been rolling recently. I think they're going to be a pesky team, so it's probably going to be a close game, just the nature of how we've been playing. And their defense, they have a nice defense. They have a nice D line, and I think they've been like top 8 against the pass this year. I think if I'm not mistaken, at least top 10. So that might
Yeah.
be a little battle, but
Yeah.
I think our offense should be able to move the ball pretty effectively.
Yeah, I think it's one of those teams where the names don't really match the production. They're talented, but like they just let up 25 points against the Jaguars with Mac Jones. So uh looking for the offense to have a really good day.
Yeah, speaking of that, I mean, yeah, Ethan just pulled it up.
These are the Jets numbers,
Look-
by the way, defense right here.
If we look at their, if we actually look at their rush defense, they're basically middle of the pack. So I feel like that's something we need to hammer at,
Mm-hmm.
as well as just don't look. I feel like this is going to be a closer game. One of my points is don't make this a game because they are a 4-10 team and show why they are a 4-10 team. And I hope they do. I hope they blow them out, and they should. But I just feel like, with this offense and the inconsistencies, I just feel like this is going to be one of those close games. And plus,
I think it's gonna be close too.
Yeah, plus Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, they've got their connection back that we've seen from last week. But
So Rams
Yeah, yeah.
defense versus Jets offense. Have we got any word on John Johnson III coming back?
I don't think so.
I don't think he's
No.
coming.
No,
Okay.
I didn't see an update.
So we're basically expecting the same defense. Jets offense is pretty healthy. I think everyone is available. They're going to have a full arsenal of weapons and O-line. So that'll be interesting. Aaron Rodgers is playing the best ball of the season. Devontae Adams is starting to go off. They're not to be trifled with, to be honest. In
Yeah,
fact,
it's a super team.
Their O-line is awful though.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's their
yeah,
weakness. Yeah.
their O-line's just
Yeah.
trash. Simple as that.
Yep. Okay, so let's just move on to key matchups. I mean, man, I'm boring. I'm just gonna keep it in the same place I've been keeping it. Trenches, man. I don't know. I say this every week, but for me, it's just like so foundational. We
No,
got to
I-
win at both trenches, man. With their O line being not great, our D line has the chance to make Aaron Rodgers' life hell, and we should do
Yeah.
that. We should
Yeah.
torture that man. I would love to see Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Kobe Turner with 2 sacks apiece, just like go off, like no joke.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Another key matchup I have on defense is Rams corners versus Tay and Wilson.
Yeah.
I just feel like if we don't hold those guys in check, and obviously we're gonna need to have safety help, right? But if we don't hold those guys in check, I feel like it's gonna become an ugly game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I had the exact same one, so I'm not gonna add anything. Our
Yep.
corners versus Tay and Garrett Wilson.
Yeah. I think the key matchup to me is yeah, I had our corners versus Tay, but I'll switch it up and give something a little different.
Wow.
My main thing is Stafford versus their pass defense. Like I said, their corners are kind of overrated. Sauce is having a bad year. So I'm looking for Matthew Stafford to come out and have him the next game.
Okay.
Okay.
Keys to victory. Will?
Guys, you touched on it. The pass rush. Basically, my key to victory is don't let Aaron Rodgers be comfortable. He's coming off a good game. He's had, like you said, he's been playing a little bit better later in the season. And I better not see his old ass out scrambling our defensive linemen. Like, if I see a play where Aaron Rodgers like gets around Verse or Byron Young, I'm gonna freak out.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, if Aaron Rodgers isn't comfortable, that makes a huge difference, obviously.
For sure.
Absolutely. Real quick, I do mine. Mine is like I do every week. Don't make Aaron Rodgers into a superstar. Like Ethan said, he's been picking it up recently. He was bad for like majority of the year, but he's been picking up last 3-4 games. Just keep him where he's at. Make him ashwagandha man. Don't make him a superstar. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I also have the same point. Get pressures on Aaron Rodgers. I also mentioned this. Keep Tay and Garrett Wilson, in check. Also, we need to run the ball effectively and efficiently on them. They have a middle of the pack, rush defense. I feel like that's something we could take advantage of. And also, I say this a lot. Offense just needs to start fast. I know we've been asking for this all year, but it is a key. I mean, if offense starts fast, I mean, we win the game. It's simple as that.
I'm gonna keep mine super short and simple. Win the turnover battle.
Love it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great one.
Predictions.
Mm.
Who wants to go first?
Oof.
I'll go first. I'll go
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
So I think this is one of those games. They're 4-10, but they're a pesky 4-10. They have great talent on offense. They have some names on defense. They have Aaron Rodgers, who's, like I just said, the last couple weeks he's been kind of going back to old Aaron Rodgers. Him and Tate got their connection coming back. So I think it's going to be a hard fought win. And I can almost 100% say guarantee it's going to be a close game. So I
Yeah.
would say Rams. I'll say Rams 23. I almost said Packers. Jets 20.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, East Coast team that's talented, that they haven't given up yet. They're still playing hard. I'm going to say Rams 24, Jets 22. I think it's going to be a close game, though. I agree.
Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, like we said, Aaron Rodgers is playing phenomenal. Keep him in check. That connection with Tay is back there. Take advantage of their weaknesses. They've underperformed the secondary, lackluster rush defense. I'm gonna say 2017 Rams. Last week I said Cardi would win on a walk-off, and he did play well, so I guess I was partially correct. But I'll say Cardi will win it on a walk-off this week.
Okay.
All right, and my prediction is going to be 30-24 Rams. And that's it. Those are our predictions, guys. We appreciate you guys watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know how you like the new format, the new layout. Any points of suggestion or encouragement are appreciated. And we'll see you guys next episode.
Thanks, guys.
Sure.
See ya.
See you guys later. Be safe.